The last chapter in this book deals with the importance of EMS leaders advocating for change within the profession. Once completed with this module, you should be able to differentiate between advocating and lobbying, define lobbying and the role lobbyists play in the development of EMS legislation, describe the various rules and regulations associated with lobbying and how to avoid ethical violations, explain the role that organized labor and other professional organizations play in the political process, and analyze the pros and cons of political activity at both the local and national levels. To begin this chapter, consider this scenario. After a great deal of work and patience, you are just appointed as the fire chief for a department in a neighboring state. One of the key issues you recognized as an important consideration in your interview was a need for the chief to be a stronger advocate for the department and its needs. The Firefighters Union is very politically active and publicly supported your appointment. You also know that the City Council will soon be discussing a proposal to privatize ambulance services, thus removing patient transport services from the fire department. The city has a council manager form of government, which is a new structure for you. Your background was working in a fire protection district. As a welcoming gesture, the Republican Central Committee has extended an offer to meet with you. At this point, the committee has not taken a position on the privatization issue. The majority on the council are Republicans. You also have been invited to a meeting with the city mayor, a four-term Democrat and lifelong resident of the city. As an outsider to this community, unfamiliar with its political structure, how do you go about learning the political landscape in this new environment? How do you want to approach the invitations to meet with local political leaders? What role, if any, should the firefighter union play in your decision-making? Needless to say, the political realities of such a job can be difficult to navigate for even a seasoned fire or EMS chief. As an EMS leader, however, it is an environment in which you must be comfortable working. To differentiate, advocacy strives to support a cause and affect social change. It is a broad act that can take many forms. Advocating specifically for an issue or interest with a government official with the express purpose of influencing that official is defined as lobbying. Individuals or groups who advocate do so in pursuit of changing public opinion, policies, or practices through various activities, such as raising awareness of an issue, law, policy, or practice, networking with stakeholders, and lobbying key decision makers. The pursuit of excellence in providing essential EMS while also advocating for the community and patients necessitates that EMS professionals advocate and lobby to preserve or change practices, programs, policies, or laws in the public interest. Lobbying is considered to be so essential to the proper functioning of lawmaking that it is protected by the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. Legislators do not have a deep knowledge of everything on which they are asked to vote. Lobbying government officials provides information, analyses, opinion, and diverse points of view. Lobbying supports informed and balanced decision-making and ensures, at least in theory, that one person or special interest group does not dominate the legislative or regulatory process. As a quick history lesson, by 1973, the advancement of EMS was limited. Arguments were made that the lack of coordinated approach to EMS was a public health care crisis. Advocacy was necessary to effect positive change for EMS at various levels of government. All EMS policies in place today were crafted through desperate lobbying efforts, especially in the early years of EMS. For instance, the very successful Los Angeles County Fire Department paramedic program would not be around as we know it today if not for the lobbying efforts of the program founder to convince the medical community, public safety providers, and politicians that a well-designed delivery system of pre-hospital emergency coronary care could be performed by well-trained civilian personnel. The Emergency Medical Services Development Act of 1973 was proposed and signed because of the lobbying efforts of numerous people who shared the vision for EMS. Lobbyists are found in city or county government relations offices, national professional associations, and labor unions. Some EMS lobbying organizations include the National Association of EMTs, the International Association of Fire Chiefs, the American Ambulance Association, the International Association of Firefighters, and the International Association of EMTs and Paramedics. Given the impact of lobbying activities on the governmental process, the federal government, along with many states, requires systematic disclosure of lobbying activity and expenditures. This disclosure allows lobbyists and public officials to justify their actions under the banner of openness and full compliance with the law. Lobbying activities at the federal level are governed by the Lobbying and Disclosure Act of 1995 as amended by the Honest Leadership and Open Government Act of 2007. The obvious concern is that a well-funded group could essentially buy politicians to support a particular agenda. The law prohibits gifts, requires disclosure filings, and seeks to ensure ethical conduct in lobbying activities. Failing to follow the law is punishable by a civil penalty of up to $200,000, and up to 5 years of jail time could be levied for a knowing or corrupt failure to comply with the law. Within Wisconsin, Subchapter 3 of State Statute 13 governs the regulation of lobbying, along with Administrative Rule GAB 16. The Government Accountability Board also makes lobbying guidelines and ethics opinions available on its website. A political action committee is an organization that pools campaign contributions from its members and donates those funds to campaign either for or against a political candidate, ballot initiative, or legislation. Political action committees are the vehicles for unions and corporations to finance campaigns. Although federal law requires disclosure, registration, and a ban on gifts and meals, it does permit lobbyists to make large contributions to the campaign committees of members of Congress. Stock or non-stock corporations, labor organizations, membership organizations, cooperatives, and other groups can be considered a political action committee if they are soliciting contributions to influence the outcome of a non-federal state election. Political action committees in these cases refers to the use of separate segregated funds for political committees established and administered by corporations, labor unions, membership organizations, or trade associations. The Center for Ethics in Government promotes ethical behavior for state legislators, staff, lobbyists, and advocates. It offers ethical standards development, training programs in ethical decision-making, and a clearinghouse of ethics best practices. Most professional organizations representing EMS personnel or employers will have ethics statements or policies that they follow. The objective of engaging in political activities means building working relationships to advance one's political agenda. The earlier an EMS leader comes to understand the role that politics plays in the industry, the more vested he or she will become in shaping the future of EMS. As an EMS leader, you should become educated and develop a multifocal viewpoint on the issues facing the EMS industry. To advocate for something, you must understand it inside and out, which means knowing the pros and cons associated with your objective so you can bolster the benefits while downplaying the negatives. You should seek out the experts in EMS and learn from them, taking their different perspectives into account. Attempt to understand and influence the issues of the policymaker's constituents. It is also very important to establish integrity through your actions and spend time building respect with your colleagues. Attend local peer group association meetings as well as state and national conferences. Join and participate in professional associations. Use social networks while also building your face-to-face relationships. Be cautious and do not act out of haste when passionate about an issue. Learn when to make your case, as timing can be everything. Lastly, stay on the correct side of politics. Advocate for the greater good and the public you serve. Utilize your political prowess to help others rather than trying to help yourself. Be ethical and moral in your conduct. As you move up in the political arena, whether by virtue of your position in government or within your profession, many different stakeholders will vie for your time, attention, and support of their special interests. It is in your best interest to understand the pros and cons of local political activity and the legal requirements that impact such political activity. Take the time to know both formal and informal leaders within the community of interest. Your goal is to understand their viewpoints on issues related to your department or service. In this particular scenario, the city manager would likely define your role as it relates to political realities and should advise you on what meetings would be appropriate. As far as labor organizations are concerned, developing a good working relationship with your labor union is essential. Labor unions often play a large role in local, state, and even national politics and can have a profound impact on the opinions of policymakers. As a manager, you may not always see eye to eye with the union, and there also may be instances in which the relationship is not collaborative. Overall, however, it is a much better strategy to work with the union rather than against it. It is easier for both management and the union to work together and share a common message and agenda within the community. Although EMS is commonplace in most communities, advocating for change will remain an essential function for EMS leaders hoping to advance the profession. Through advocacy, EMS leaders can give a voice to the issues impacting EMS and the people we serve. In advocating for change, lobbying becomes an essential practice to make certain that the EMS point of view is represented in government. Just as essential to lobbying lawmakers is building your own personal network and keeping oneself educated and tied into local, state, and national issues that impact EMS. A single voice is just as essential to advocate for the profession as it is to provide pre-hospital care. If different interests in EMS advocate for different and mutually exclusive things, it can ultimately damage the profession. Pursuing excellence in providing essential EMS services and advocating for the community and patients served by EMS helps ensure that EMS has a voice in government with the ultimate goal of having a positive impact on the care provided to our patients.